Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. As ever in the international break, we like to do something a bit different, and I think you'll really enjoy this one. I certainly hope you will. A couple of weeks ago, I received a strange but interesting email from a Reds fan who works in podcast production and an actual professional in Duncan Barber. He wanted to do something on Forest fan culture. He wanted to go along to a home game, hear the stories from you, the Forest fans, to find out what keeps them going back to the City Ground, no matter how well Forest are doing or how badly Forest are doing indeed. It features our own Greg Mitchell and a surprise cameo from a Reds legend as they walk over Trent Bridge. Like I say, hope you enjoy this. I really think you will. It's something a bit different. So let us know what you think in the comments. But in the meantime, this episode, as ever, is sponsored by the Trent Navigation. You can get your tickets for the Rick Parfitt gig on December the 27th now by going to gigantic.com.
There is nothing else like it in life. Every time we score a goal, it's that release of energy and so many different emotions that you don't get anywhere else in your life.
This is Simon Bristow.
I almost feel sorry for people that don't go to football and don't follow football because they don't get to experience that, and it's such an incredible thing.
We're in Sneinton on a cold but sunny morning. We're at a gallery. It's not an obvious place to meet on a match day, but he's telling me about the photos he's taken of Forest fans at games for his project, Our Glorious Banners.
I just wanted to capture the essence of Matchday and the cultural aspect of football and the people coming together, and you go to work and you live your separate lives, but then on a Saturday or a Sunday you're kind of united behind this mutual love of this same thing, and in our case Forest. I think that the stuff that happens in the stands and before match and after match is just as interesting as the 90 minutes, if not more so.
Can you talk a little bit about how maybe we experience that collectively on a Saturday, especially going to the City Ground, how you feel it works as fans together?
Yeah, at Brighton, the guy stood next to me, I'd never met him in my life, but he was bear hugging me when we scored the equaliser. So it's those kind of moments that you share with these people that you don't know and you may never come into contact with again unless you happen to be stood next to them at another game.
I wanted to speak to Simon because more than most people, he understands that football's more than just a hobby, how it creates moments and connections.
I think for some people it's really important. It could be like their one trip out of the house every week. So it's much more than just going to a football match. It is without getting too deep, it probably really helps people's mental health to go to football and have that moment of socialisation, seeing friends. I'm lucky I go pretty much every week, but some people might go once a month, and that might be the one time that they get together with their closest friends or family members. So I think there's that kind of really important cultural moment that people go through when they go to football matches. That walk over Trent Bridge that we've all done hundreds of times and will do hopefully hundreds, thousands more, there's nothing like it. Every time it feels like the first time you're seeing that sight of the ground coming into view as you kind of round the corner, and it's even better on a cold, misty Tuesday night, the floodlights are on.
Back at the exhibition, more and more people are arriving. Most are wearing Forest shirts and will make their way to the game afterwards. Simon stays here until the exhibition closes at 2 p.m. and then heads to the ground. But usually he walks from home.
So I'm quite fortunate that I live close to the ground. So my match day ritual would be walking from my house, and I always like to take a different route, either down Radcliffe Road or over Lady Bay Bridge, just to take in a different kind of angle of the ground. But we'll then go to one of the pubs, usually the Trent Navigation, and I like that kind of hour or so meeting friends and people that I go to the game with to have that initial chat about what's going to happen today, what are we expecting, what's the team going to be, and then the team gets released, and so we all kind of go through that, have all of that experience, and then try and get in the ground as close to kick-off as possible without getting stuck in queues.
I usually meet friends in town before the game. We'll have a couple of drinks and then get into the same argument every single time about how long it's going to take us to get to the ground in time for kick-off. My friend Joe made us late for the Derby game in 2009, the one where Majewski scored that ridiculously good goal after 58 seconds from long range. We'd argue about it then, and we still do now. It's part of our matchday ritual, no matter what division we're in. After the game, we usually go to the King Billy and play a game of pool if the table's free. The pub isn't an option for Simon. He heads straight home to look after his 1-year-old.
She's already got her first kit, which I was a bit gutted of. They don't do baby size. You have to wait till like 6 months before they fit into anything. But hopefully she doesn't have the dark years that that we've had over the last 20 years, and she just knows Premier League football and European football. Let's allow ourselves to dream a little bit further. She doesn't even know it yet, but she's a proper Forest fan already.
I leave Simon and walk towards the stadium. I was born and raised in Nottingham, and I've supported Forest since I was a kid. My first real memory is the 2-2 draw with Liverpool in 1999. I was sat in the Trent end and I had the perfect view of Van Hooydonk's last-minute free-kick equaliser. But it wasn't until the playoff season, under Paul Hart, that I became truly hooked. I was 11 years old, and I started going to games more regularly with my dad. When we couldn't go, I'd listen to Colin Frey's commentary on the radio. Recently, I've been thinking about the role that football plays in our lives, the matchday experience, and the things that stay the same, no matter how well or badly Forest are doing. I stumbled across a video I'd filmed on my phone before the Birmingham home game, during the promotion season. In the video, a man plays what looks like a trumpet outside the Cross Keys pub in town. It got me interested. Who is this guy? Does he do this before all the games? I showed it to my friend Joe, and then he found a video on YouTube from 2015. It's called Forest Fans at Brighton, Singing to the Trumpet. In the video, you can see a crowd of fans milling around drinking after the game. Then, a man walks into the middle of the crowd. It's the same man from the video on my phone, and he starts to play. What happens next is pretty special, especially when you consider Forest have just lost 1-0. So I managed to track down the man from the video. His name's Alistair Weir, and it turns out it's not a trumpet.
It's actually a cornet.
That's Alistair. It's 11:30am and we've met at the Vat and Fiddle pub near the train station. He's wearing brown shoes, black jeans and a black Leyland Scott jacket. And he's brought his cornet with him and a large case covered in football stickers. Alistair orders a local ale called El Simo, and then we sit outside to talk.
Interesting story. When I took my cornet in some years ago, first time under Billy Davis, sat in the A block, bit of a drab game. Anyway, got the cornet out, played Mull of Kintyre, to which I got a tap on the shoulder by a security guard who said that you're not allowed to bring musical instruments into the city ground. So he said, I'll take it off you, you can get it on your way out, which I did. 10 minutes later, the same security guard, he comes walking back, stood on the gantry, keeping an eye on the A block, to which the A block turned around in unison and just sang, "We want our trumpet back. We want our trumpet back."
I tell Alistair about the video I'd filmed of him, playing his cornet outside the Cross Keys pub, and ask what he usually does on a match day.
I'd nip Cross Keys and Herbert Pilkin just around the corner, see some of the old boys, take me cornet, and obviously I'd, not fussed about getting a ticket because I can't. So the ritual is sort of have a drink, meet up old friends, play a few tunes, get to the nav. You see, the little ones come into a match and there's no, there's something kicking off around the corner, that's gone. And then, in sometimes you'll get the shy youngsters in the Forest tops and whatever, and you can see them and they come in the pubs now, which is a good thing. One of the things I've noticed is get the cornet at Mull of Kintyre. They're like, come on, you know this one, don't you? And the next thing, the little kids, they're belting out Mull of Kintyre.
Alistair talks about how away fans will hear him playing Mull of Kintyre and ask why Forest fans sing it before a game. When Alistair tells them it was number one when Forest won the league, they'll chat to him about their memories of Brian Clough, of Peter Taylor, of John Robertson. And if they're lucky, Alistair might play them a song.
I've actually sort of been in company where I've spoke to Liverpool fans, and obviously the 96 comes into that. So I've played You'll Never Walk Alone for Liverpool fans, so much so that one of them rang at Mum up and Mum, and I'm playing You'll Never Walk Alone to the mother of this Liverpool fan that's in Liverpool who's in tears.
Alistair can play pretty much any Forest song. He gets out his cornet and begins to perform for the microphone. We've been talking for a while now, and the pub has filled up with fans. It's time for me to leave Alistair and make my way to the ground. But before I go, he makes one final point.
Before Forest got promoted, it was sort of therapy for the lads to go and meet up on a Saturday, a few drinks, talk about the week that's gone, match, whatever, and nobody really bothered what the result was, to be honest, but it was a good time to meet up. How have you been, this, that and the other, talking about stories. One of the things that I found, now Forest have got promoted, it's a totally different ball game. You know, Forest are playing Sunday, they might play Monday or midweek game. It hit a lot of the my pals. There was no game on a Saturday, and they were like, and it hit their other halves more because they were fed up because there's no match today. Well, you're not staying in here. They had nothing else to do. And it sort of upset the apple cart in a sense.
This is something I hadn't really thought about. I'd been so caught up in the excitement of promotion that I hadn't really considered the way that it could disrupt people's lives. So I say bye to Alistair and leave the Vat and Fiddle. I've arranged to meet Greg Mitchell outside the Trent Navigation at 1 p.m. Greg's one of the founders of the Forza Garibaldi fan group, although he needs no introduction to listeners of this podcast. In fact, just as we're about to start recording, a group of fans recognise Greg and they want to say hello.
My name's Chris Peacock from Northern Ireland. Nottingham Forest supporter, 46 years.
So I asked them if they will chat with me quickly before I speak to Greg, which suits Greg.
I might go. I'm a bit hungover. I might go and grab a water.
Can you talk me through your match day then?
Right, okay, match day's probably for me. At the minute, it's out of bed at probably 2 o'clock in the morning. Shower, dress, whatever you have to do, travel, airport, fly. You have to actually fly to Birmingham at the minute because East Midlands Airport doesn't really work for us. Up to Nottingham, back to Birmingham, and back to Northern Ireland.
So you're up at 2 a.m. this morning?
This is only now inside the last 10 or 15 years. We have travelled from early 1990s, driving a car, onto the ferry. It used to be 3 a.m. in the morning. It used to be 3 hours, 45 minutes into Stranraer. It's 313 mile exactly from Stranraer to Nottingham. And we've took the game in, and we've driven straight back up the road again.
And that is a very long journey. Tell me why you do it. What brings you every other week?
I'm as passionate. This football club means the world to me. I grew up as a young boy, born in 1970, and then around my 7, 8 years of age, when you start to recognise football, we were contentious in the top flight in English football, getting promoted, and then being contenders for trying to take away Liverpool's, and I could easily sway towards Liverpool. Man United were massive then, and still a massive club respectively, but I fell in love with this football club, and this is honest an opinion I can give you, and I've been there ever since, and we've been through the wars. Carlisle away on a Tuesday night, beat 1-0 Carlisle away, and the next season when we arrive and it's postponed by a frozen pitch and we have to travel back home again.
It's the bond for Forest and for Nottingham that keeps bringing them back.
But we come here and we love this city. We've been coming here for a long, long time. When we were younger, a lot younger, the Black Orchid, Sam Fay's, all the local bars, as you boys might know when we done our young day stuff. But great city, amazing football club, and then honestly, I'm spilling my guts out here, but the affection and the friends I've gained around the city, over the years is unbelievable.
Chris and his mates head off towards the ground, and by this point, a freshly hydrated Greg has rejoined me. He started Forza in 2016 after chatting to other fans on a train on the way back from a game.
the goals were to help with the atmosphere. That was the main thing from the very start. We wanted to somehow create a better atmosphere in the City Ground, and we found that incredibly hard, but it's been done anyway by Steve Cooper, the performances on the pitch. That's what created the now famous atmosphere. But for us, it was getting people together, getting like-minded people together, and those very first times of being in town and having a pre-match party, and then suddenly, there's 150 people here, and then the next one it was like 400 people, and we were like, oh, we're onto something here. People want to do this. And now you see, like the Trent Nav that we're outside now, that it's just got 1,000 people there every game doing a pre-match. There's one down the road that they just seem to kind of realise they're onto a good thing here, and it's grown from there. But we then started doing, obviously, the tifos in the ground, which I don't think people will ever, until they're involved, appreciate how much hard work goes into that. The hours and days from the people who design them to us lot who are putting the cards on seats or making things like that. It's just endless, it's relentless. So when people say, why haven't you done a display recently? Because the hard work and we need more help. So they'll be coming back, but that's obviously what we're proudest of.
I'm going to go through those one at a time, actually. So first, with the pre-match stuff, what role does that play in people's day?
I think it has a huge role. We go to the Nav now, and this isn't me, this is everyone in there. You don't need to tell your friends you're coming, because you know exactly where they're going to be stood. You know the same person stood where they always stand, and you can just go in there and meet your friends you see once every couple of weeks. And the atmosphere builds, and they have things on stage now, and you see that flow into the ground. You see it go over Trent Bridge, and it does have a massive part to play. And I think it is not unique to Nottingham. Other cities do it, but the way we're doing it is just unique because it's huge. It's brilliant.
Greg's first Forest game was at Wembley in '92 for the Zenith Data Systems Cup. Forest beat Southampton 3-2 in extra time. Scott Gemmell scored a brace. After that, understandably, Greg was hooked.
I just remember things like even the smell of the programme and little things like that. Never remember the games. You see these people. I've got a good friend who told me a game in the 90s, who scored and how they scored. I'd never remember anything like that. I remember the nervousness going over, driving from Eastleigh, because we'd go through Clifton, and when we got to Trent Bridge, especially an evening game, if you saw the floodlights, I'd get these butterflies and these nerves and think, oh gosh, even back then it meant so much to try and get a win, and I'd be crying if they lost as like an 8-9-year-old leaving the ground. So, and my little nephew now, he's 8 years old, and his first games really was like the Wembley playoff game, so he's having a similar journey to what I have, and you see him hooked now, but he's lucky he's got a lot better times than what I've had at his age.
It's 1:30 p.m. now. The streets are completely filled with fans, all walking in a steady flow towards the ground. Greg and I leave the Nav and join them.
So we're coming up to Trent Bridge now, and for those who have never been here before, they wouldn't know what's just round the corner. We've got some really good German friends, and the first time they came over, I wouldn't let us drive over because I didn't want them to ruin the experience, because we're just walking down a nondescript road now, London Road, and there's no great view or anything, but what's to come, I think, is the best sight in football bar none. I just don't think there's a better view. A Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff is the best time for a football game. Late summer, the sun's out, it's just perfect football weather to see the perfect view coming up as well. And I'm 39. I started coming to Forest at 7-8 years old. I still get excited about this, especially when I'm showing people who've never seen it before. Where we are now, at the very start of the bridge, there used to be this guy who sold hot dogs when I was a kid. And we always used to have one, so that smell, I miss that instant smell. My mum always used to say it made me ill, so after a while I wasn't allowed one, but he was here. He had this little truck here with these I imagine health and safety have stopped things like that now, but they were great hot dogs. So you can see the river now. It's quite high because we've had some recent bad weather, but you can see the Trent End, one of the greatest stands in football as well. But you can't describe how good the view is until you see it yourself. So if you are a Forest fan that's never managed to do it yet, this is one of the best experiences in football. And once you're in the ground and you look back at Trent Bridge and you see the thousands of people coming over it, that's as good a sight as well. So we've stopped pretty much in the middle of the Trent now on Trent Bridge. We're an hour and a half away from kick-off and there's already a few hundred people on the bridge. We're in the favourite spot for people to stop and have photos as well, so I imagine we'll annoy a few. I'm looking over now at the ground, and because the Peter Taylor stand is small, you get to see the amazing Brian Clough stand in all its glory, the Trent End, and just the tip of the Bridgeford stand. So if and when the renovations happen, this view will change forever, but I'm sure it will look equally as good. Because one thing that will never change is the way the Trent flows through, and it is just a beautiful sight.
And what are you feeling when you're walking over?
Always excitement, just always. Now I'm smiling now. Even when, on a non-match day, if I come over Trent Bridge in the car, or yesterday I walked over it, I'll still give myself a little U-Reds under my breath. I think it's compulsory.
As we walk towards the end of Trent Bridge, Greg is in full flow.
And you'll see people who've been unfortunate enough not to realise there's a football
When
game
suddenly,
now.
he spots a familiar face.
Cole, can you say hello?
It's none other than former player Colin Barrett, the man who scored that volley against Liverpool in the European Cup in 1978.
So do you know when I was saying you get hundreds of people walking by, no more bigger legends than Colin Barrett, who has become a great friend and a great friend of what we do at Forza Garibaldi as well. He's just been fantastic. He was the firework that started Forza Garibaldi, and that's why we have Colin Barrett Day at the end of every season.
Which I'm not invited to, by the way.
Yes, you are! You always say you're doing corporate.
All right, no, not corporate. Only once.
Colin's a popular man. He's got people to see.
I'm going to see a bunch of ex-players in a room, and we're all going to talk a load of rubbish, and then we're going to enjoy the game.
But he doesn't mind stopping for a moment to talk to us.
Going to what Greg says about Forza starting. Yeah. Forza started, and that, I think, all the football fans in this city got behind that, because they sold it to me this way. They said, we are there. We don't want rowdy days. We don't want going back to the 70s where everybody had to scrap to get out of grounds. They want just to be football fans, whether you lose, win, draw, whatever it is, whatever the result, whatever you're going through, however the heartache take, you are a football fan of this football club. And that's what he sold to me. That's what they sold to me. And I thought, it's the first time in a very, very long time that I heard that sort of thing. So all of a sudden they get on board and things start to go, and it snowballs and it snowballs, and they've taken it on. This song, The Mullican Tie, we've had this issue about where did it all start from. These boys, it was always there, and then it galvanised, and then it carried on. What they do with all the displays that they put on the city ground, that is iconic now. That is iconic. There is nobody else, I don't think, does it better than here. And what better place to do it than the city ground?
So we're at the end of Trent Bridge now, and this is where you get the Trent End folk and the Brian Clough stand folk going off to the left, and then people like myself in Lower Bridgeford or the Peter Taylor stand will go through the main gates, really. So there's always a bit of a bottleneck here, and it's again a place where you seem to bump into a lot of people you know, and a few familiar faces all the time, because that's the thing about this club. as big as it gets, it's still the same people coming every week. So you still see the same faces and same smiles that you always seem to get. You know, you speak to anyone on this bridge and they just want to tell you how great this place is. There won't be anyone who says it's okay, isn't it? They'll just tell you the love they've got for it, and that's what the best thing about this club is, the people that love it.
It's now about 1:45. It's an hour and 15 minutes until kick-off. I leave Greg by the end of Trent Bridge and turn left to walk along the riverbank. I've got the river on my left and the stadium on my right. Just as I'm approaching the Trent end, I bump into a familiar face.
Hey guys, hey, tell me this, give me some info.
It's Chris Peacock again, the fan from Northern Ireland who's been on the road since 2 a.m.
I'm just buying a badge here, guys, so let's go for this wee one here, all right? What do I do there?
Chris picks out a badge. It's the Red Forest logo on top of a plain white background.
There's no more truer badge than that. It's just the emblem of the club. The only thing it's missing is the 2 stars, and that stays forever. It never goes away, it stays forever.
My name's Angela. I'm Lucy. We sit in Trent End Upper.
Angela is Lucy's mum, and they've been going to games together for about 12 years.
We've kind of made our way round, so we started in Brian Clough and then sat in the main stand and then Trent End, so...
I moved about through, but we're in a lovely position now, aren't we?
Yeah.
So.
And can you tell me what your matchday ritual is when you come to a home game?
Ooh. A bacon sandwich before we come out, travelling with friends.
Having a pie at the ground.
Actually, you're in a little family with the people you sit with. That's nice, you meet up with them and chat with them.
We went to the people that we sit next to's wedding last year, so that was really nice. It's a bit of a community, and that's sat next to the girl, and we just started chatting one
Same
game.
age as you.
Yeah, and then started to be really good friends.
We went to Wembley together, all in the same car.
Went to the playoff final.
Yeah.
And then
they've had a baby, so you meet them out sometimes.
Yeah,
don't you?
and then they invited us to their wedding, and that was really nice. Yeah.
And you only know them from sitting together in the Trent End?
Just from the football, yeah.
And that's kind of what we're really trying to ask about, really. It's like, what is so important for people about going to a game that's beyond what happens on the football pitch?
The relationships you build, like there's people that sit in front of us that we wave at, and then people that sit behind us, and then you kind of just get the feel of like when new people come, we're really friendly, and it's just, it's nice to see it buzzing, you know what I mean?
And what about together? What do you get out of it together, coming together in your relationship?
I think it's our time. I think what you, 17 when we first started, and you were really interested in sport really before that, and both my daughters came, and from them we had a season ticket straight away for the next season, and then my other daughter worked till the Saturday, so she stopped coming, but we've kept it up ever since.
Yeah.
And now Lucy's moved to West Bridgeford, she's just down the road. But actually it's our time to meet up and have some time together, quality time together. Yeah. Even if she does learn some new words when I'm swearing at them.
You can't put that in.
Angela and her daughter Lucy have a real kind of infectious, positive energy.
As soon as it gets to like 1:30, 1:00, it's absolutely buzzing. You just see like the beauty of Nottingham, you know, just like sometimes we used to walk from the station to like the city grounds and just walking past people and just like chatting to them. People used to sing, like if you come out and you win, then you're singing all the way past like the city, and it's just good atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes obviously the boat that goes up and down, and the thought of actually not being here as a ground is unthinkable. This is where Forest belong.
We're stood by the river with a great view of the ground.
So we're right near the Trent End. We can see the Brian Clough stand logo, and we can see the Forest logo above our heads, and I'd love to take a photo of that. You see lots of people with like away shirts, blue shirts, Forest shirts, and then obviously the tricky trees around us, like the nature and just the river. And of course the food down there, so like the fish and chips. Sometimes on a hot day there's like ice cream, and it's good.
It is good. Do you get any of the food for the ground?
Sometimes, Sometimes you have an ice cream with an ice cream van, and you often have a pie inside, don't you?
Yeah, you got to. Yeah.
It's just gone 2:15 and it's almost time to head into the ground. But before I leave Angela and Lucy, I ask them if there's anything else they want to say.
If Yatesy scores, we're in the Trent. Got it on.
What are you wearing?
Forest shirt with 22 Yates on the back. primarily to wind down person at the back up because he doesn't like Yates. So if he comes on, he'll be saying, and I bought the shirt. I never buy a shirt with the name on because I think the club is bigger than each person. But Yates is absolutely amazing, and I just think that if he scores, it'd be brilliant.
How can you not like Yates?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I walk past the queues that are snaking into the Trent end and head all the way around the ground to the end of the Brian Clough stand. I enter the stadium and climb the stairs to P Block. I'm sat right in the corner of Brian Clough Upper, just above the away fans, and it's now only a few minutes until kick-off. The atmosphere's building and the players are out onto the pitch, and there's that shared feeling of anticipation that comes all around the ground just before this. It wasn't to be. Forest lost 1-0, our first defeat of the season. I leave the ground and meet up with Chris Peacock again, and we walk back over Trent Bridge.
How do you feel now with the whole trip? Is it still worth it?
Oh, the trip's worth it. Listen, lads, Duncan, I've been in worse situations than this. I've suffered a lot worse scenarios than this and losing football matches. Like I was at Ewood Park when we lost 7-0. You know, I have been at Scunthorpe here when we lost 4-0. Trust me, I've seen sad days and poor days here. I was at Chris Hutton's last double header. With all respect to Chris, because a lot of time for Chris. CV equalled a brilliant appointment here, but didn't happen. Anyway, we moved on. How I feel today on the trip, I'm going to go now. I'll probably have a beer and I'll probably chill out and I'll probably have something to eat and we're back home in the morning. But we'll be back again, don't worry, we have our next trip planned.
And where are you going for a beer? I want to hear about your evening.
Well, we do the Nav. We'll probably head back to the hotel we're staying here down in the Premier Inn in London Road. So we'll go back there first, we'll reset. And we're disappointed. I'm disappointed. Listen, you know, when the guys, we're all disappointed. And how else do you feel after that? You know, travelled out of bed since 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, but well, not long. I've never run away from this club in my life. I'm 46 years nearly in total here, and as I say, I went over it and I'm not going over it again. Plenty of bad days here, but we're okay. We're all right. We'll go again.
I walk back to the Vat and Fiddle. Despite the loss, not everyone's in bad spirits. I go to the back of the pub. It's where I'd met Alistair Weir this morning, but this time I join Rob, John and Alex. They're 3 old school friends who are now in their late 30s. They're all wearing red Forest shirts and scarves underneath coats to keep warm. They're sat around a table, dissecting the game. Here's Alex.
Post-match deconstruction, trawling Twitter to find people that agree with all of our highly biased points.
In the Vat and Fiddle.
In the Vat and Fiddle. And then trying to find somewhere to get an Indian before I go and hopefully not stay on the train all the way to Skegness, basically.
I would say, like, the game doesn't affect my mood as much as it used to.
That's John.
I think since coming back in the Prem, like, I think the first season was just stressful. Last season was awful. This season, I kind of just got used to it now. Like, I don't mind that we're last on Matchday every week. It's kind of just become a bit of a novelty. And, yeah, for me, it's just about having a good time with the lads.
Yeah, I feel like most Forest fans that we've just endured the best part of our lives just getting abused by being a Forest fan and just languishing in the lower league. So everything is a bonus, but I don't know, I feel like I've seen us lose 3-2 so many times in the last 2 years at the City Ground, and it's just like unbearable. So I feel desperate to see us win at some point.
And this is Rob.
It will affect my mood. I will be fairly devastated. I'll have to go home and pretend to be in... Oh, that's better. Derby have lost 3-2. That's improved my mood.
An alert flashes up on Rob's phone. It says, Derby have just been beaten by Norwich. And it cheers him up. A bit.
Yeah. But, I'll have to pretend to be in a good mood when I get back home to wife and 2 children, and then get on with the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so just trying to get out of the house is hard. So I suppose, and my partner used to work in hospitality, so trying to get any weekends off is hard, but she's now out of hospitality. So this is literally her first weekend out not working in a restaurant, and I'm straight at the game.
She's looking after the kids.
She's at home with the kids. But normally it's me at home with the kids and watching it on a stream.
It's a good excuse for us to get together. We've been friends for 25 years-ish, something like that. And normally I'd go with my 2 boys and my dad, but excellent substitutes.
I got a text message when I got in my Uber leaving this afternoon saying, "Don't rush home." So I am not rushing home.
Okay. The night is young.
This episode is hosted and produced by Duncan Barber. The sound recordist and mixing engineer is Volkan Kiziltug. Thanks to additional production support from Matthew Russell and Joe Schbuck. As ever, do like and subscribe. You can become a channel member. Give us a lovely review on iTunes and Spotify. I do enjoy reading them all. Hope you enjoyed this. And if we don't hear from you tomorrow or see you tomorrow, then we shall see you soon.